This is Mitch McConnell freezing up during an interview. Now, I've seen people freeze during interviews. I've frozen a couple of times during, job interviews or whatever. But this is a little bit different, and it lasts for 20 seconds. Watch what happens with Mitch McConnell. This is the Senate Minority Leader right now. So he's the Republican senator, the highest-ranking Republican senator right now.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. We're on a path to finishing the NDA this week. It's been good bipartisan cooperation and a string of
in all seriousness, I'm very worried for the guy right now, really. And then a doctor from Wyoming, I think. He's a Republican. He comes up and helps him out.
Okay, Mitch.
It's Senator John Barrasso, a Republican from Wyoming. He says, "Hey, Mitch.
Anything else?
Anything else you want to say, or should we just go back to your office," is what he says. Again, he's a doctor, so he's going to check Mitch out probably.
You want to say, or should we just go back to your office? Do you want to say anything else to the press?
Do you want to say anything else to the press? He says, no.
I'll take him back.
I'll take him back. So I guess they were going to check him, see if, he's okay or whatever. That's concerning, actually. Very, very concerning. Quick interjection. I won't take long. I just wanted to tell you guys, YouTube's algorithm operates off of a few factors. Watch time, whether or not you subscribe, and whether or not you like something. So if you really want to help my channel, I would appreciate it if you guys watch the video to the end. If you don't watch it to the end, just watch a little bit longer than you would have otherwise. I would appreciate that very much. All right, let's get back to the video. I don't take solace in the fact that anybody might die or might fall ill or whatever. I don't want anyone to die or get sick. Nobody. Mitch McConnell is a scumbag who has done scumbag stuff, but he's somebody's dad. He's somebody's brother. He's somebody's son, uncle, grandfather, I don't want any suffering in this world. There's already enough. Why do we need more? I hope that he turns out okay. A few minutes later, he came out and he continued. And from what I understand, people were saying that it looked like it was a seizure. Apparently, he had a fall recently. And I don't know, a few months ago or something. Who knows when it was. And he suffered a concussion. That may have been somehow related to what happened. I don't know. Froze up for 20 seconds straight, man. Lucky that he had a doctor there to look at him, though. Anyways, yeah, it's this Mitch McConnell. This one right here. This guy right here. I wasn't sure if you guys remembered, because it's been a while since I talked about him, but I just wanted to point out, which member of the Senate it was that I was talking about. So, yeah, it's that one, standing in front of a Confederate flag, if you were unfamiliar. Anyway, I get a voicemail about this, and I just wanted to give it a listen, see what they had to say.
Hey, Owen, Guy Young, Brookville, Illinois. The singularity at the end of the black hole that the GOP has fallen into is pulling them faster and faster. Now, Mitch McConnell has health problems. Can you imagine what they'd be saying if that was Biden? And he's just trying to hang on just long enough to try to keep the Republicans with some hope.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. I'll play the rest in a second, but yeah. If that happened to Biden, oh my God, it would be a media frenzy that never ended. It seems to me that people are just worried about Mitch and sick of octogenarian leaders in Congress. Okay, I don't want somebody that is over 80 in Congress, in the Senate, in the presidency, in the executive branch, whatever. No more 80-year-olds, okay? In fact, once you pass retirement age, you're not allowed to be in public office. You got to retire. That's it. That includes the Supreme Court and everybody. I don't care. I do not give a shit. If you were a child when segregation was going on, you shouldn't be in office, in any office, ever, anywhere. If you went to a segregated school, if you drank from a whites-only water fountain at any point in your life, I don't want you anywhere near politics. If you ever stood in front of a Confederate flag as a photo op, I don't want you anywhere near this. Get out of politics. You're too old. Okay? Anyway, I'm sorry, man. That's just how I feel. No more. No more 300-year-old Confederate soldiers running for office. I'm done with that. If you hit 65 years old, that's when people usually retire. Right? 65, say 67 maybe. Hell, some people retire younger if they have the ability. You're done. That's it. No more politics, no more nothing. Hang out, play golf, enjoy the golden years. You earned it. I'm just sick of older people in government right now running everything who are alive during segregation and took photo ops in front of Confederate flags like Mitch did. I'm sorry. That's not to say there aren't good ones. I mean, yes, Bernie Sanders is old and he's fantastic. I love the dude to death. Sadly, his time has come and gone to be president. I don't see that happening ever again. But Bernie Sanders was very much the exception, not the rule. And unfortunately, a lot of the time, people, what's the generation that came before boomers? Was it the silent generation or was it the greatest generation? I don't remember. People from that generation can't possibly understand. People who were 80 years old when the first cell phone was invented cannot possibly understand the issues that we face today in this world. Get the out of politics. That's my take. I'm sorry. Bernie Sanders would understand. I love him to death. He's my man.
Everyone, and Romney is begging the people to drop out of the race so they can get some kind of against Trump. It's over, Mitt. It's over, Mitch. It's over. R.I.P. GOP 2023. I am loving this. I am loving it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'm not loving anybody getting hurt, of course. I don't wish death or pain on anyone, but I am also loving the fact that the Republican Party seems to be eating itself alive at this immediate moment, and it's tentatively looking pretty positive for democracy, sadly. It's looking positive for democracy at this immediate moment. I wish that it wasn't, I wish the bar wasn't that low, but here we sit. Anyway, thank you, Guy Young, Brookville, Illinois. I appreciate that message. Recently, I covered this Jewish cult that exists in New York City. I found a street sign with this sticker on the back, Messiah is here, Mosiach is here. I think that's the Jewish pronunciation of Messiah. Long live our master, teacher, and Rebbe king, Messiah, forever and ever. Fascinating, dude. I read about it, and I pulled up their website and everything. I went through the whole thing on my Fireside chat channel if you want to give it a listen. But one of my listeners heard that and decided to call in and give me a little information. So check this out.
Hey, Owen, it's Yanai from Israel. I just saw your episode about the bizarre Jewish cult. The rabbi is called Rabbi Milubavitch, that's his name, and he died in 1994.
Had no idea the dude was dead. That actually surprises me a lot.
And after he died, his following was split into two. Half that just kept his teachings and worshipped his memory, and half that decided that he was the living Messiah and he's going to come back. And they're the ones who started the cult, and they're the ones who have all those flags and stickers all across Israel. And apparently now they finally reached New York as well.
That's fascinating. They're in Israel. Wow, I had no idea that this was like a movement that existed in Israel, probably originally, right? That's really, really interesting. Yeah, so I'm sure you probably know this, but if anyone else doesn't know, New York City has the highest concentration of Jews outside of Israel itself. So I think the Upper East Side, just picking a random area of Manhattan, is made up of something to like 52 to 60% Jewish people or something like that. Yeah, really fascinating stuff.
Just so you know, the guy was named Rabbi Milubavitch, but half of his cult thinks he's the Messiah, and he's coming back, much like Jesus.
That's really interesting. Thank you so much for that information. I'm fascinated by it. Like, anytime a cult kind of appears like this, it just blows me away. I just want to learn everything I can about it. Like, this cult seems very peaceful. They don't seem like they're going to be nutter butters. I mean, they are nutter butters, but they're not going to, like, do something crazy, at least. Well, they're not going to, like, kill themselves or somebody else, so there's that. They are going to throw themselves deeply, deeply into this belief system, unfortunately. But what can you do, right? At least they're not violent. At least they're not in danger of checking out together or something like that, that's a plus. But yeah, extremely fascinating to find information about this. Thank you for adding context to that.
Hey, my name is Hope. I'm from Utah. I know that your dad was a real shithead, and I'm just curious. I found out that my dad is a real shithead too recently, and I was just curious. Do you ever wonder if you're gonna turn out like your dad? And if you did when you were younger, and how you learned to cope with that.
So the question is, my dad was a real shithead. Did I ever worry that I was gonna turn out like my dad? And the answer is no. Not for a single second did I ever worry that I was going to turn out like him. You know why? Because I zeroed in on the things that made my dad a shithead in the first place, that made him a truly terrible, deeply to the bottom of his heart, just a bad person, just a bad human being. I found the things that made him that way. And I did everything that I possibly could in my power to do the exact opposite. You know, my dad shunned me and my brother when we left Jehovah's Witnesses behind. My mom did too. My mom was actually the worst about it. My dad didn't really shun me very, very much. It was very little, in all fairness, but my mom shunned me. I set out to never shun my kid as a result of what my parents did, at the very least, my mom specifically. I set out to never kick my kid out of the house. I don't give a shit if my kid is 63 years old and living in my house and has never had a job. It means nothing to me. I will never kick my kid out. She will always have a place to live with me. Even if she has to sleep on a cot in the corner of the room, I don't care. I will always make room for her, no matter what. Because I didn't get that same level of care. I didn't get that same, that same privilege, that same appreciation. There is nothing on planet Earth that will ever turn me against my kid. Ever. I will do anything for her. Jehovah's Witnesses turned my family against me. I don't care what ideology it is. I don't care what social norm. I don't care. It doesn't matter. She could come out as a trans, Jewish, evangelical, whatever. Doesn't matter. I don't care. She could fall out in the spirit tomorrow and get into snake handling, be a Pentecostal nutcase. And as long as she talks to me, I will talk to her. Literally anything. I will do literally anything to maintain that connection, because I didn't receive the same grace from my parents. And that's not the only thing. I intentionally and specifically set out to make sure I did not mimic the bad qualities of my own parents. The control, the lack of caring. In all seriousness, I have worried that I'm going to do something that my dad did and really f*** the situation up. And that is why I will never do what my dad did, because I worry about it. My dad didn't. He didn't care. Look, the bar is on the floor. Nobody cares about I came to find fairly recently. Nobody gives a about anything. You know how you separate the winners from the losers in this world? The winners try. Oh, and of course, there's a level of opportunity. I'm not talking about capitalism. I'm not talking about getting a good job or anything like that. I'm talking about, you want to be a good parent? All you got to do is try. That's it. Yeah, you might mess things up from time to time. You most definitely will. All you got to do is try. You want to have a good relationship? All you got to do is try. That's it. Just the most bottom of the barrel, basic stuff you got to do. And you are suddenly in the 90th percentile. You are within the top 10% of people who are doing really, really well. You have one of the top 10% best relationships in the world because you try. All you got to do. You are one of the top 10% parents in the world because you tried. The bar is on the ground. You just have to raise it a little bit. Just try.